Hi, I'm Sam Vokes at Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. In the next hour, we'll reflect on the defeat up at Morecambe. Better news on Tuesday's trip to Cambridge. A brilliant victory, which keeps the club in contention for the playoffs. 4 points outside of the top six with 3 games to go. We'll reflect on that and look ahead to the trip to Lincoln as well. We've got our match debrief from Phil in a few moments' time. We'll be catching up with Wycombe Wanderers Women's Under 18 manager Christian Price as well. They're coming towards the end of their season, doing fairly well in the league, but a pretty decent cup run as well, which is quite an exciting climax to their season. Also, we'll, thanks to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, be speaking to a former forward who's not long left Adams Park. Very much looking forward to hearing the thoughts of Alex Samuel, who now, of course, plies his trade in the Scottish Premiership with Ross County. We'll hear about how he's got over another injury and is doing pretty well north of the border, as I don't think people say anymore. Also, don't forget this hour, a preview of Knowing Me, Knowing Blues. The full version will be available on the Wycombe Wanderers social media. You can catch the video in full if you've been getting your if you've been getting your questions in to goalkeeper Max Stryjek. You'll be hearing some of his answers. Also this week, another Welsh forward who is committed to the club for next season, Sam Vokes. We'll hear from him, and also manager Matt Bloomfield will get the latest from the training ground from this morning's press session as well, as he looks ahead to what is of course, must-win game on Saturday, the visit of Lincoln City to Adams Park. Plenty to get through in the next hour. If you're listening to the live commentary on Tuesday evening, you'll know it was a pretty exciting end to the game. Some good goals as well. But let's speak with Phil and to briefly reflect on Saturday's game up at Morecambe, another of the strugglers in League One, and obviously not quite the outcome we were expecting.
Yeah, disappointing on Saturday. Morecambe, it was always going to be a tough place to go. Always is a tough place to go. And I thought Derek Adams' game plan worked really well for what he's got available to him. Wycombe, though, 20 shots, 11 corners. It's no cutting edge, and that was frustrating because it was a much needed 3 points on the table up there, especially with other results going our way on the day, and we were unable to take advantage. But full credit to Morecambe, they deserve the win, and it puts them in a good position for their run-in. Unlikely as it seems for them to stay up a few weeks ago, they've given themselves a chance.
And after the game, did you feel what was your main kind of emotion? Because I guess you had 5 points outside the top six as it was then. I guess that was still doable with the remaining fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the goal difference, and really it's probably 5.5 points, 6 points, really, because of the goal difference with the teams around us. So it's going to be hard. I think that result of Morecambe's made it incredibly difficult. But where there's hope, you can always go for it. And, Wycombe, as we've been saying for a few weeks now, obviously we need results to go elsewhere to go for us, but we can't control that. But what we can do is win the games that we've got, and then that puts the pressure on. We were unable to do that against Morecambe, and that was a really big opportunity missed. But we have to bounce back, and we bounced back really, really well against Cambridge, a bit like we did over the Easter weekend. It was a deflating result and performance against Ipswich, but they responded well a few days later against Forest Green. And
it felt like the changes the manager made on Tuesday night really paid dividends as well.
Yeah, it was interesting to speak to Matt after the game about that, because 4 changes, 3 of which were in sort of the forward positions or the attacking positions. But there's no mystery behind it. If you bring in players like Gareth McCleary and Sam Vokes, then things become a lot clearer up top with their experience and their ability. But again, it underlines what Matt's been having to deal with since he's come in, because they've both been injured, and this was their first start since coming back from injury. And it really did make a big difference.
And really nice as well that, as you say, it felt like a game which had so much drama as well. Cambridge, certainly no walkover, and they were doing really well, especially towards the end of the game. It really felt with yourself and Brian that, we were on the edge of our seats, all of us.
Yeah, it was a really good game, and credit to Cambridge. I thought they played very well in large parts of the game. They had the same issue that Wycombe had on Saturday. They didn't take their chances. At 1-0, they had a really good chance to equalise. They had a big shout for a penalty, which is still not clear even on the replay. And they didn't take their chance when it came. Lancaster had the shot from, I don't know, around the penalty spot after some good build-up playing, and he's missed the target, which in their situation is crucial. And then just before half-time, Wycombe get the second goal due to much protesting about offside, which it didn't look offside at the time, and it certainly wasn't offside on the replay. So they had to get over that one. But I thought second half they came out and took the game to Wycombe. Interestingly, we'll hear from Matt Bloomfield in a second, but he referenced the fact that Wycombe didn't make it easy for themselves at times in that second half, but it certainly was a gritty and resolute performance in that second half, especially when you consider that Chris Farino went off injured, but Jordan Willis came in and showed his class as well. So that was good stuff. But yeah, it was a really interesting chat with Matt after the game.
I thought first half we were very good in spells. I thought we were quite comfortable in the game. Probably gave away a couple of chances more than we'd have liked, but I was pleased with some of the bits we did. Stuck to the game plan. Obviously, giving a goal quite early on in the second half, it was always going to bring the pressure on. But make no mistake, this was a really, really hard game for us tonight. Mark's got the boys at Cambridge well drilled. 10 points in the last 12. We seem to have a little bit of a habit at the moment coming up against teams in form, and Cambridge was certainly in form. We could see that. All their set pieces, the way they wanted to play forward, the way they defended in their mid-block, getting pressure on. I think they're in a team in form. So this was a tough game for us, and we obviously got to be really pleased to come away with the 3 points.
4 changes in the starting 11 and rewarded with 2 goals in the first half.
Yeah, I think it was necessary after a long trip north to Morecambe and the disappointment of the result, not the performance, the result on Saturday. I thought it was important to freshen it up. Having GMAC and Vokes fit was obviously a big thing for us, so bring those boys back in the team, and I just felt it was right to give us that balance with Taff on his left foot as well. And I was really pleased with Nick, actually. I thought Nick's maybe been unlucky not to play more recently. I thought he did very well against Fleetwood and Burton, came on against Charlton and did really well, so I thought it was the right time to give him a game in the middle of the park. I thought he did really well, Nick.
There's another chance to show great character as well, bouncing back from that disappointment on Saturday with a really committed performance again tonight. Yeah,
I don't think you can ever question the boys' commitment, irrespective of result. I think these boys are all in. I could see the devastation on their faces after the game on Saturday. They were heartbroken from the result, and we had to pick them up. But they pick themselves up. It's not just about us, it's about the boys. We're a group here, and I'm really proud of the way they conduct themselves. I'm really proud to be a part of this football club and be at the front with them. So they picked themselves up and they showed that fight tonight.
And a real urgency as well because of where we are with the amount of games left. It was a must-win game, I guess, for the top 6.
Yeah, most certainly was. Yeah, I think it actually comes down to that point of the season where it is must-win because time's running out and we want to chase. We want to get into that playoff zone position. We want to keep fighting. There's one thing I've learned in this game is you have to keep picking yourself up and keep fighting because it's a relentless industry, and I think that's come throughout the football club for a number of years now. So we'll keep fighting. We believe we can still do it. We believe that a big result tonight could propel us into that, and we have to keep believing that, and we certainly do within that dressing room.
Goals in the first half, but it was a dogged, resolute display in the second.
Most certainly so. I thought the boys at the back were great. Joshy Scowen, obviously in front of them. He's top drawer every week, Joshy, and the work rate throughout the whole team. It had to be a team cohesive unit. I actually think we could have helped ourselves at times. At the same time, the determination, the resilience of the boys, the way they defended the box and saw the game out, I thought was we're obviously really pleased with, Phil.
2 away games, but home comforts on Saturday, and it'll be a tough game against Lincoln, but another must win.
Yeah, another tough game. We know the qualities that Lincoln are going to bring, and we'll study them over the next few days. But it's that time of year. It's it's an exciting time to be involved in. I'm smiling now. I wasn't during that second half. We're waiting for the final whistle to go, and obviously we're looking forward to it. We're excited.
You've cut the gap by 1 point, so Saturday will be huge. What's the message to the fans going into that game at Adams Park?
Thank you for your support tonight. Thank you for your support over the last few games, and turn up in your numbers and cheer us on. We need to give them something to cheer, but we also love it when they turn up in their numbers and cheer us on. They're amazing at home. We've had some special days at Adams Park over the years, and we're looking forward to Saturday. We want to start creating some new memories.
And great to hear the manager talking about the fighting spirit that the club has had for such a long time, and that's really positive for fans to hear as well, isn't it, going into these final fixtures?
Well, yeah, a lot's been made of the continuity between Gareth Ainsworth leaving and Matt Bloomfield coming in because of him knowing the system, him knowing the place, the players and everything about it. And that fighting spirit, regardless of how you play the game, in terms of do you want to play it on the floor more, do you want to pass the team to death, or do you want to go direct, or do you want to mix it up a bit? If your team can have that fighting ability and that fight and culture, in fighting culture amongst themselves, then that's a really good attribute to attach to any style of play you want. I think our style of play is evolving still, really, and probably will continue to evolve throughout the summer into the start of next season. That fighting culture we saw on Tuesday night, you have to grind them out sometimes, and they certainly did that.
And it sounds an obvious thing to say, but such a boost to come off the back of that game against Morecambe with the win and taking that into the Lincoln game as well now.
Well, yeah, the Lincoln game is a must-win. They're all must-wins if Wycombe have any chance, really, of going up. I mean, I've been doing the same as all Wycombe fans this morning, scanning through all the final fixtures for all of the teams up there. And it's not in our hands anymore, but it wasn't in our hands when we were at the bottom of League Two. And we had to get favours from elsewhere. But we did our bit that day and won the game. We have to do that now on Saturday against Lincoln. A win there, 3 points, and results elsewhere going our way, and then all of a sudden, people will be getting very, very hopeful again. And that's the beauty of football, isn't it? They always say it's the hope that kills you, but to be at this stage of the season and not, say, for example, in the position that Lincoln are in, which is mid-table, no danger of relegation, a good thing, but no danger of promotion either. They're already looking towards next season. They'll be playing for contracts and all the other bits and pieces. Look at a team like Charlton, who I think had it mathematically confirmed they couldn't get relegated and couldn't get promoted, and they're now looking at their longest spell in this flight of football in their club's history. So they must be feeling pretty deflated. So from a Wycombe point of view, with much bigger clubs around us and below us, and certainly competing with us in those top 6 places, it's great that they're able to fight for this. And of course, the flip side of that is that we will look back at results and think, if we'd have beaten Cambridge at home, if we'd have done this, if we'd have done that, we'd be right up there. But again, that's football and it can drive you mad sometimes.
It does make it really special for this time of year, is it? Penultimate home game, still something to play for. Should be a great atmosphere at Adams Park, especially with the worldwide Wanderers phenomenon representation that there'll be.
Yeah, it's International Fans Day, and that's a big thing for the Coohigs, being international fans themselves. And, when I do the commentary, I'm very lucky to get all these messages through from people from all over the place. Expats, foreign fans who found us through whatever method they've done so, be it through FIFA or just from picking a team or liking the kit, even things like that, that people build these affinities with and become, real rabid fans. Different sort of fans experience than I'm used to, certainly, because they're doing it from afar, but they're because of how the technology's evolved now, they can be really involved in these games, which is wonderful. It's nice that we can pay tribute to those guys and make them feel a bit more part of the family. And plus, equally, on the final game of the season, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but for Pompey away, there's going to be over 100 of our Spanish friends here in the away end with us, which, if there is something riding on that game, then they'll be playing their part too.
No, it's fantastic. And more positive news this week as well, with Sam Vokes being the latest player to sign on for next season as well. Yeah,
huge news, I think, really. Sam Vokes, again, a bit like Josh Scowen, has at times shown his worth by not playing when he was injured. And we really missed what he brings to the table. He's a goal scorer, obviously, but he brings so much to Wycombe Wanderers in terms of his hold-up play, his general touch, his vision in the final third, his defending of set pieces, I think, is exceptional. And he's a great character as well. And, what was really lovely when he announced it was that, with the managerial change, he referenced the fact he's loving it under Blooms at Wycombe, and he loves it at the club. And this is a guy that's played over 60 times for his country, scored over 10 goals in the Premier League. He's had countless championship appearances and goals as well. But here he is at Wycombe, still with plenty to offer. And it's great that he'll be here next season. Obviously, there'll be movement to come in and out as well, no doubt, over the summer, and everyone will be checking their phones. And I'm sure there'll be at some point where people will forget that we've extended the contracts of these really exceptional players that are committed to Wycombe Wanderers and be bemoaning the fact that we haven't signed 35 players or something. But again, such is football, and that's how it is, isn't it? But we shall see what happens in the summer. It's more fascinating, I think, this summer, because obviously we've got Matt Bloomfield there, and this is his opportunity now to really put his mark on the squad.
No, really positive, much to look forward to, and I'm sure when we're speaking this time next week, there'll be hopefully things will be looking even brighter.
Fantastic.
Phil will be bringing you full match commentary on Saturday from Adams Park on Wanderers TV and on 106.6 FM if you're not going to the game. As we mentioned, the penultimate game of the season at Adams Park, well, the regular season anyway. So if you're not going, then you'll be able to hear the ball-by-ball commentary there. Don't forget, if you check out Wanderers TV, you can hear that interview with Matt Bloomfield in full. Also, Ryan Tafazoli featured as well online, so make sure you don't miss that. Next this week, though, we turn our attention to Wycombe Wanderers Women. The first team playing some friendlies, the reserves doing pretty well. Let's catch up with the under-18s now and Christian, who is their manager, and these are his reflections on how the season's gone so far.
I'll be honest, Colin, we haven't covered ourselves in much glory, I would say, so far this season. We've had a new team coming together. This season so far has been about a recess with the new players, getting to know them and vice versa. We've played against some exceptionally good sides in this Junior Premier League, and we've been finding our way as we've gone along. The season league campaign's been disappointing compared to what we're normally used to, but we're on a bit of a run now. So we've hit some couple of good performances. We've had a really good result in the Cup the weekend, probably our best performance of the season, actually, without doubt. And we've still got a few more games to go. Certainly a cup run, and it'll be really good to continue to push on that one and pursue that and really go after that one. And when in the semis in a couple of weeks' time, and then we'll see how we go. And I think once we get to that point, we'll take stock and see where we're at. But yeah, overall, it's been an amazing journey this season. It's been very challenging, and we've really embraced those challenges and tackled them really well.
So it's a big part of your role being sort of managing expectations, really?
Yeah, I think so. Previously, we've come from a club that's been a really strong community club, been really successful. Part of that success has then enabled good players from our opponents' teams that have come to us this season. Some of those players have really kind of kicked on and really gone well, and then represented Carl's first team and had an amazing season. So we've lost some of those players. But yeah, it's been a challenge managing the expectations. There's a lot of girls who are very able, that are used to winning week in, week out. And this season, it's been a challenge to understand that we're playing against academy teams, that the players are much better, and it's been a completely different season compared to what they're used to. So I hate losing. It's been a massive challenge for me, but one again that we've embraced and kind of taken on board and tackled them positively, and as a result, fundamentally, I think we'll come out of this as much better people as a result.
So what are some of the main positives that you've taken from the performances that you've seen so far?
I think because of the level that we're playing at, the girls are playing against better opposition, and invariably that makes them better football players. I think also looking from a mental perspective, we're trying to make these players the best people they can be on and off the pitch. I'm not saying we've got all the answers, but we do try. So it's kind of pushing them and to their aspiration and all sort of push in terms of making them the best players they possibly can be and the best humans they can be. So again, I think by having these situations where we are really exposing ourselves and being open and honest to say, perhaps we're not the best team in the Junior Premier League, but we are trying our best and we are staying in the fight and all of those kind of things. I think from a personal level, really pleased with that. And I think ultimately the girls are going to be much better players come the end of this season,
And the cup run you mentioned as well, that must have brought plenty of benefits as well.
Oh man, that was amazing. Normally we have the VO cam, but the VO cam's been playing up. It's been a saucy thing. So we haven't taken the VO cam so we could record that. But you know what, we watch these games, and what I like about these games when it's really, really tight is what is the reaction of the players when we score the goal? Do they kind of just run back to the halfway line and have a restart, or do they go absolutely bonkers? And you can see right there and then what it means to the players. And we had an absolute blockbuster against Millwall. They're a really good, strong, powerful, decent footballing side. And we went up to their place on Saturday, and we knew it was going to be a big ask. I knew that the team that we had was really able. It was a really settled, balanced team. I was really quite pleased with the squad that we went there with. I knew that we would challenge them, and didn't we do that? It was my probably coaching highlight. I've had quite a few, but it was a really feisty game, really physical. Players on the opposition side were kind of losing their heads slightly, but the girls were magnificent. We stuck to task. We really pushed them in the second half. We told them they had to go to some dark places, and it was incredible. So to see the celebration, when we scored the goal, to see the celebrations at the end, to see how much it meant to them, it was great, because there's some real tricky matches. We've conceded goals and lost games in injury time, really tight games, like against Millwall previously at home at Burnham. And it's, when you see the girls putting on the line as much as they do and how hard they're trying, and for them to lose it in the last minute, it's enough to kind of break some people. And it's, when it's so tough, and absolutely fantastic on Saturday. So really chuffed, really stoked about that. Really looking forward to the next match against Watford in a couple of weeks' time. It's been amazing from that perspective. The girls now, it's a bit of a strange situation, because we are losing players because they're revising for the GCSEs or their A-levels. So some players beyond certain dates can't, continue to play the matches because they have to concentrate on their A-levels. So it'll be interesting. I think it might fizzle out. We're disappointing in terms of our position in the league. So we're not really going for that league push. The priority at the minute is, I think, the 29th of April away to Watford, and then if we get to the finals, that's our emphasis at the moment, that cup run. And beyond that, I think we'll struggle to keep some of the girls that are looking to sit their A-levels and GCSEs. So they're the goals at the moment. We want to keep this team together as much as we possibly can, and hit the ground running when it comes to those cup matches. And then what happens after that, towards the end of May, whether we've got the team to put out after that, we shall see.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Second part of the Wycombe Wanderers Show for this week, still to come. A little later on, we'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield. We'll catch up with Sam Vokes, and Knowing Me, Knowing Blues, the answers to your questions for top goalkeeper Max Stryjek. Make sure you don't miss that. Some very interesting questions, not to mention some very interesting answers as well. But first, with thanks as always to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, this week's former player is someone who has not long left the club and has very good memories of his time playing in a particular playoff final as well. Been speaking to Alex Samuel, who of course is now plying his trade at Ross County. But here's his first memories of his time at the club.
I was obviously at Stevenage before, and it was obviously a really tough time for me, being released and being left out. And me and my wife, recently married, was in a really bad place. And, in ways I had a message to say that, a trial at Wycombe Wanderers, was possible. And, I remember I was just come back from surgery, and remember going there, and I remember it's so funny because it was the first season we were back in League One. So I remember the boys were playing Blackpool home. I remember training that week, and obviously I didn't play for about 8 months because of my injury. And I just remember being so off it with training. I mean, I couldn't. I felt so unfit. I felt so behind, and I was thinking in my head, I was like, Gareth Ainsworth is going to turn around and say, thanks, but no thanks. And I remember then going to watch the Blackpool game. I think we drew 1-1, I think, or 0-0. I'm not sure, but I remember then. But he just kept inviting me back, and I was like, wow. So week after week, I think I was there about 4 weeks trialing, and obviously I was building up my strength and getting confidence, and offered me a contract, and it was a half-a-year contract. And then within a month, I think I was in the team. I scored my first goal against Walsall, which I think we lost 3-2. And then got in the team, and I think the memorable days for me in them early days was when we played Shrewsbury at home. And then the week later, we played Accrington Stanley, and it was that last minute goal, which me and Jason McCarthy always talk about, to be fair, because that was a really special night. So, that's kind of the start of the journey, I guess, at Wycombe Wanderers.
And what were your first impressions? It didn't take you long to settle in, really.
As soon as I walked through the door, I was like, I want to be a part of this team. I want to be a part of this club. Just the way it was run, the way it was conducted, and the way everyone from the staff, manager, everyone, the players, that treated you like you were part of the team. And I was blown away because obviously I'm going as a trialist, and I've been in places where, players might not even want to look at you because they're like, well, you're fighting for my place. But it was not that at all. They embraced me with open arms, and it made the whole process a lot easier, and it was fantastic, and absolutely, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And that was as well an initiative for me on trial to be like, well, I really want to be here. So it made me work even more harder than I could have probably ever have done before. It was just amazing, and it was a family, and like I said, it was my family, and even to this day, I have share some relationships within the club that probably I'll never lose. So that's the difference, and it was just an amazing period for me in my career.
And it couldn't have taken long either to sort of realise what it'd be like to play for the manager.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember something that really helped me in the early days when I was there. I admit that I haven't been the most prolific goal scorer. I think any striker who is in that place can admit that and say that. But I know my strengths were to run and to work hard and to hold the ball up and to run channels. And obviously the whole scoring thing can be a big pressure, and it is for a striker. But I just remember Gareth Ainsworth just saying, look, don't worry about scoring goals, just work hard for me and work for the team. He says that is enough for me, just do that. And that, to come from a manager, was just huge, because it just took all the pressure off in them early days when I was kind of finding my feet really in the professional game as well. And it was just amazing just for the manager to say that, because it was completely against everything that I was said before that. So it allowed me just to go out and just play my game, and then the few I did score, and the games that were important and played in important games, but that for me was amazing.
And as well, I think that's something that really endeared you to fans as well, because you mentioned the running. I think that's something that you're really known for, and in a way, it doesn't perhaps matter quite so much if you're not, as you say, a prolific goal scorer, but they can tell that you're really giving everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, I've always been that scoring goals you can't control. It's very hard to control. Obviously, you have a sense of control of practicing finishing, and obviously, but there's a lot of other factors that come in with scoring goals. Obviously, it's the service. It's do you get any service? You getting chances? So that's very much a variable factor that you can that changes all the time. But with working hard and running, it's a guarantee. So for me, every game was a game where I was like, well, I can, if as long as I give 100%, and that's what I always say to myself going into games, if I can come off that pitch knowing that I've ran my socks off, then I've done my job and I'm happy. And regardless of if I score, if I don't, if I have assists, whatever, that will come in the game, and that will pay off, and the goals will come through the hard work. So that for me has been kind of my thing since always, to be fair, and even today.
And are there any particular goals or games or just occasions that really stand out? Obviously, we'll chat a bit more about the final at Wembley.
Yeah, I mean, them early days, the Shrewsbury at home, we won. I remember Adam Elab scored, and I think, I scored as well. And I don't know if we won 2-1, I'm not sure, 2-0 against Shrewsbury. But it was, for me, that game was kind of really solidified to me that I've really broke into the team. And again, I've come from League Two and working my way up. Now I'm in League One, and really cemented that place. And that it was that week really when I remember just so enjoying my football. And then obviously the Accrington Stanley game after a week, or midweek, or a week after, it was obviously amazing. Because I remember I was playing, I think, on the right wing I was kind of out of position, and then I think Gareth Ainsworth kept me on, and obviously Scott Cashgett scored to pull one back, and then I scored in the last minute. So them were really memorable. Another memorable game was when we played Sunderland at home. When we first played them away, I just signed my after the half the season contract. Gareth Ainsworth stood to his word. He was brilliant. So he would give me another deal, which I needed financially, because I was are currently living in a house share just because of the situation I was in, and so he really stood to his word. But I remember when I just signed it and we were playing Sunderland away, and I remember walking out, and I remember just, the stadium, and we drew and we got a result there, and it was just amazing. And then I think the home game then as well, when I scored, and it was just, honestly, some incredible memories with some amazing players and some amazing friends along the way.
And something which must be really memorable, but for very different reasons, obviously, was to be at the club during the pandemic as well.
Yeah, it was a crazy period. I mean, obviously, it was crazy for everyone, but obviously, everything that was going on with, were we going to be in the playoffs, were we not? All that kind of discussion was all going on. In the meantime, I think when they were discussing it, me and David Wheeler, where I used to live in Maidenhead, had a park outside the house, and me and David Wheeler, obviously at a safe distance, would do runs together and do a football practice together, just to try and keep in shape, just to be ready for whatever. So it was just a crazy day, and obviously a crazy time. And I just remember obviously coming back in and the excitement of the playoffs, and it was really exciting.
And what are your memories of both the playoffs and obviously the day of the final itself?
Oh, it was so special. Obviously, the first playoff game against Fleetwood was a roller coaster of emotions, obviously, because you've just come back, and I think we only were allowed to train for 2 weeks before the first game, and it was kind of like having a mini pre-season. I remember actually had a slight quad strain, which obviously wasn't great, and it was kind of like, how much do you how much you don't? Are you able to play a full game, at that level? And there was all these questions. So when we actually went to Fleetwood, and it was just amazing because we just obviously hit the ground running, and Namdi scoring. And honestly, it was bizarre because obviously the stadium was empty, and it was obviously the first time we experienced that, and it was really odd. But then that there's thousands of people watching because it's on Sky. So it was just a really bizarre experience. But when Namdi scored that first goal, honestly, it was the adrenaline and the feeling you get is just, it's so hard to explain, because it's just the adrenaline is just pumping through your veins. And then obviously, I think they scored back straight away, wasn't it, with a penalty. And then there's this massive change of emotions. But then to go on, and I remember playing against, obviously, Harry Sutar, who recently, obviously, keep an eye on him, and he's been in the World Cup, hasn't he? He did really well. And now he's playing the Premier League, which is amazing. So, we were coming up against some really good players and a really good team. But that day, it was just so special. And obviously scoring and getting the man of the match in that game was just, I would say, one of the most highlights of my career. It really was. And I remember just sitting in the changing room after, and all of us were like, obviously it's not done, but it's one step closer to playing at Wembley and going to Wembley. So it was just, that moment was amazing. And then obviously the second leg was one of the most nervous games. I would not say I enjoyed that, because it was just the tension, and when they scored, and you feel, oh my goodness, they're coming back into this, and you could feel the pressure, and they were a good football team. They were really, really moved the ball well. So it was very, very tense. But obviously when Fred Onyedinma scored, it was just, wow. It was a bit surreal. I guess it was then that we could really celebrate as well, that we were going to Wembley. But it's a weird feeling when you go through, because it's like, you don't want to get to the final and lose, no team wants that to happen. So again, you've got this in your back of your mind. You're like, we cannot lose, we've got to win. And then obviously the Wembley experience was just absolutely phenomenal. And I'd say mixed emotions. Obviously, it was so special to win, and to especially walk out on the pitch of Wembley and play and have a part in that. And it was so special within the team. But there was kind of a slight bitter note to this, obviously, because, I had my wife, my family, who could only watch it on TV like everyone else. And it was this kind of bittersweet, personally for me, because in those moments of highs, for me, it's about celebrating it with also your family and your loved ones, and it was kind of a mixed emotion for me personally because it was absolute one of the highest moments of my career. But also, it was like, oh, I want my wife, I want my family to be here to witness it. I want the fans, as well to experience this at Wembley and to win at Wembley. And it was obviously getting there and winning it was the best thing of the outcomes that we could have done. So it was a really special time and a lot of emotions in it, but it was incredible.
It must be so hard to describe what it was like because obviously the club's never got to that stage before. As you say, there weren't any fans there, and you're really having to sort of go through all that, as you say, without the support of the people that would normally be there.
I remember just obviously going home, and it was kind of quite emotional when I went back to see Rachel, because it was like I've just had this moment at Wembley, and she was here stuck in the house by herself. Those are the things aren't really talked about, especially in that time. But again, obviously, it was out of the whole what was going on and the crisis that the world was facing. It was the best scenario and the best case that we could have done. So I would have, obviously, if anything like that, praying to God it doesn't, but it would be the best, way to do it and to get promoted. And like you said, in the first time in the club's history, to be a part of that is just amazing.
So how did your move to Ross County come about?
It was an interesting time that obviously we got to the championship and I didn't obviously play as much games as I would like. And I think few games that I did play at the start, I think the team were really finding its feet. And it was in ways after that, I didn't really be involved that much, which was obviously upsetting and, not in ways what I wanted. But, I understand that's football and, just to be a part and play the games that I did was amazing, an amazing experience. So obviously we got relegated and in ways it was very much, okay, what is next? What's going to be next for me? And, whether that's at Wycombe, which in ways I really wanted to, because like you said, I absolutely love Wycombe and my time there and the people there. But I was kind of seeing things starting to change, where there was obviously bringing in players that obviously, in ways, I was kind of like, I'm back in League One now. I need to play, like I did before. I couldn't again have a season where I was not playing and sitting on the bench again, and sometimes not being in the squad. So it was kind of like difficult. And obviously, Sam Vokes came in, who absolutely fantastic striker. Obviously I know him well through being Welsh and all of that and the qualities he bring, so I knew I think Wycombe were heading a different direction. And I did have interest from Cheltenham at the time. And Cheltenham were interested. And I remember obviously at the time going, well, it's a really difficult position to be in because obviously I had 1 year left at Wycombe and it was like, I can't have another season of not playing. Otherwise, it's just not good, and this is the things that aren't really spoken about. You think, I had a year left. I could have sat there and been comfortable, but I like a challenge and I want to play football. That's where you get seen. It's not when you're sitting on the bench. So it's kind of like, and to be fair, I was able to speak really well with Gareth Ainsworth and everyone there, and we were kind of just trying to discuss what's best. And it kind of did come across like, obviously, they were going in a different direction, and I wouldn't be playing probably as much as I'd want to. So in ways, that kind of made my decision. So I obviously had Cheltenham that was interested, but that fell through at the last minute, and then I think Wycombe got Brandon Hanlon in, and so again it was another striker. So it was kind of like, I've got to, in ways I have to go, otherwise there's no way am I going to be involved in the squad at Wycombe. So it was tough. It was tough. I'll be honest, it was really tough because obviously I absolutely love everyone there, and I was comfortable. And so then obviously my agent said that Ross County was interested, and it's interesting. It's funny because I've played in Scotland before. I played in the Scottish Champ with Greenock Morton, and I enjoyed my time there. But I was like, Scotland's very far away, and I was kind of not for the move even up to Scotland. So when I heard Ross County and I put how far away it is, and it was 12 hours, I was like, wow, okay, that's not even Scotland. That's a different country in itself, But in ways, I was kind of like, as you know, with my faith and stuff, me and Rachel really prayed about it, and we really felt God say, you need to go, and it's time to go, and it's the right place to go to. So in faith, we took the plunge, and we went up with a couple of days before transfer, and it was quite a quick move, kind of came out of nowhere, which in ways I had a couple of weeks mentally preparing to leave Wycombe, because like I said, I absolutely loved it, and it did take me a while to adjust and get over not being at Wycombe, just because of the friendships and the connections and the relationships I had with people. So it did take me a while to adjust.
So how have you found the Scottish Premiership?
It's an interesting league. Obviously, you've got your Celtic and Rangers, who I would say is like high champ, low prem, and then you have maybe some kind of middle championship teams, and then primarily like League One teams. So it's quite a very diverse like league, where there's a very different styles and qualities, and then you have the teams where obviously I would say probably at League One football, which is still a good standard. And I found it initially, like I said, with the move, initially quite tough to adjust, and just because of the moving and all of that and the stresses of that. But I remember my first game was against Celtic away at Celtic Park, and that experience was incredible. It was amazing, obviously, to experience that, and to play in that level against that level of quality was just incredible. And I was kind of like, this is amazing. And obviously, throughout the season, then about, I'd say March last year, like I said, I went out in training, went over my knee and hurt a crunch and ruptured my ACL. So it was pretty, obviously, I remember mentioning to you, Nick Freeman went through that when I just left, so I kind of knew, and I know a lot of boys that have gone through that, so I kind of knew the process. So I've kind of just managing that injury and getting through. So I did it in March, and then got the surgery in April, and it's now so the January just gone. I came back, and I've really hit the ground running, and I'm really enjoying it, and I've been able to play a lot more games, and it's been a real up and down season for me. But where I am now is I'm in a really good place.
Well, it's been really fantastic to catch up with you, and wish you all the best for what's next, and look forward to keeping an eye out for you in action as well.
Thank you so much. Great to speak to you.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Final part of this week's Wycombe Wanderers Show. Whew, it's gone quick, isn't it? Fantastic to hear how Alex Samuel is getting on. Still to come, we'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield as he looks ahead to the visit of Lincoln City in the penultimate home game of the season on Saturday. It'd be fantastic to get his thoughts after speaking to the media earlier on today. Also at the training ground, Sam Vokes chatting about putting pen to paper for another season at Adams Park. Really great news for fans there to know that he will be staying for next season as well. You might have heard as well, Know Me, Known Blues for this week is goalkeeper Max Stryjek, and Rebecca's been putting your questions to him.
Max, how thrilled are you to be here on the sofa today?
Absolutely delighted.
You can't wait for your questions.
Can't wait for your questions. I've got the most questions out of every people, so
that's very true.
I'll be glad to answer them.
Here we go then, let's jump straight into it. So, first question is from Catherine. She said, "Hi Max, you are the greatest goalkeeper we have had.
Okay.
Is it very different at Wycombe Wanderers compared to Livingston, and can you see yourself staying here for a few years?"
So yes, I can see myself staying here for a few years. Second question was about Livingston.
Yeah, compared to Wycombe, what's it like?
League One is much more competitive than Scottish Premier League, and then obviously that's why Wycombe Wanderers, obviously it's much better team.
So you lived in Scotland. I have got a question for you, because I got a bit of grief from Jack for never having Iron Brew before. Have you had Iron Brew before?
I tried it, yeah.
And what was the verdict? What do you think?
Was alright.
was all right?
All right,
just
all right.
Oh, just all right. So we're not missing out.
But to be fair, I don't really drink sparkling drinks. I just don't like them. Okay. So that's why.
But I'm not missing out on anything.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
No, I think Jack obviously will kill me, but like you can do better than this.
Jonathan said, Max has been fantastic for Wycombe since joining. I hope he stays for a long time. What has improved most in your game in the last 3 years, and what skill do you find most difficult and why?
Game time, massively. Obviously, for the last 3 years I played, I don't know, in total maybe like 150 games. Mm-hmm. So I think mentally I improved massively because obviously I'm more mature and I manage the game well and stuff like this. So I presume managing the game is much better, and maybe I'm not getting too emotional during the games, even though sometimes I do. And the second question was about
what skill do you find most difficult and why?
I'm a goat, apparently someone said it on Twitter, so no, I'm joking. Yeah, probably playing out from the back, kicking and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But that comes from mentally side and obviously from the tactics we try to play and implement, and that's really it.
I mean, the fans are loving you, so I don't think you're really doing that much wrong, are you? Johnny said, has your dog always been called Major, or did he start out as a private and work his way up through the ranks?
I thought about this question. He was always a boss, so
he's always a boss.
Yeah, he straight away, knowledge and everything. He's the boss. Major.
Love that. That's such a good dog's name.
Yeah, but actually, someone guessed it right. It's from military ranks. Basically.
Oh, it is? Yeah. That's why you called him Major?
Yeah, exactly. Because he was a boss, basically.
I had a dog.
And also, when he was a little puppy, he obviously had like 8 different brothers and sisters, and he seemed like he was one of the pack. Yeah, he was the leader of the pack. So
love that for Major. Very nice. Suzanne said, which Wycombe player is the best at darts?
Some Vokes.
Some Vokes. Are you good at darts?
Average.
Average. Maybe that could be the next content. We'll have you versus Vokes. Game of darts.
I'm not even trying to win against him. That's the thing, you know what I mean? Like,
not bothered, not fussed.
Nah.
Charlotte and Ella said, who do you think is the best footballer in the world, and who is the best player that you've played with?
The best footballer in the world. Messi or Ronaldo?
Which one though? You've got to settle the debate now, Max. Come on.
It's difficult because Ronaldo, he's walked his way through, and Messi is just like talented. Mm-hmm. But at this moment in time, I take Messi.
Messi? Yeah. Messi's the best. You heard it here.
And the second question was about the best player I ever played with.
Yeah.
Interesting one. John O'Shea or Jermaine Defoe. Depends if we're talking about defensively or attacking wise. Probably Jermaine Defoe because he can score amazing goals.
Jermaine Defoe, great. Samantha would like to know, if you weren't such a fabulous goalkeeper, what would you be doing?
Oh wow. Probably something with engineering, maybe like projects with gas pipes, stuff like this, because my family work with gas back home, and I would probably follow the pathway of something engineering, even though I've got my law degree finished, so maybe I go this way, or maybe a goalkeeper training sessions or something like that. I don't know. I never thought about it because obviously, I just never thought about it really. I always knew I wanted to be a footballer.
Yep, and you made it happen. Here you are.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Glad.
Phil would like to know, if you were
This
Wycombe...
Phil?
I don't know, is it you, Phil?
No.
Different Phil. It's a different Phil.
Okay.
Phil would like to know, if you were Wycombe manager and were offered Harry Kane or Robert Lewandowski on a free, who would you choose?
In a pick form or just now? I think I would probably say... Tricky question. I've got 2 passports, so I go with Harry Kane.
You're going for Harry Kane? I didn't think you were going to say that, actually. I thought you were
Harry
going for Lewandowski.
Kane scored more goals, to be fair, and I think he's actually like proper goal scorer, while Lewandowski, I think he's amazing striker, but for a national team he doesn't really do enough for me.
Okay, so Harry Kane it is.
Yeah.
Some great questions and some great answers from Max Stryjek. I think a contender, most certainly, for player of the season. Brilliant how he's settled in at the club as well since arriving from Livingston. Fantastic to hear some of his thoughts as well, and some of his kind of behind the scenes. There'll be more on that tomorrow as well on the club's social media. Look out for the full video of Knowing Me, Knowing Blues. Sam Vokes is someone else who has joined the ranks for next season as well. He's been speaking to Phil, reflecting on his decision.
Vokesy, welcome back to Wanderers TV. But first, we talked about it briefly the other night after the Cambridge United game. Great to have you around for next season.
Yes, delighted, mate. It's good. It's good to sign an extension and be it for a while. I think it was important for me coming towards the end of this season to get that done and commit my future to Wycombe.
There's been a lot of change this season. You mentioned it the other night as well. How is it working under the gaffer? Yeah,
it's been great. I think obviously a transition that Wycombe haven't had for a few years, obviously, when Gareth was here for 10 years, but it's been good. It's been good, and I think the gaffer now is putting his stamp on it, and has been a bit of a transition over the time. And look, I think we're looking for results. Obviously, it's a result-based business, but I can see something really, really happening here. Really exciting, and I want to be part of that.
It's been an injury hit campaign as well, which must be quite frustrating as well for you.
Yeah, very frustrating season. I think started off on that foot. Really had a great pre-season and got injured the last game in pre-season, and I think missed the first 7, 8, 9 games, and then you're playing catch up a little bit. So for me, it was that, and then obviously the back end of this season is when it matters as well. I've missed the last 5, 6 weeks, so it was great to come back against Cambridge and get those 75 minutes under my belt. I think it was. So yeah, it'd be nice to build on the last 3 games now.
What's it like coming back from an injury? Because we always talk about the match sharpness, but from a player's point of view, what does that actually mean?
What does it mean? Well, hopefully it wasn't too evident the other night. But no, I feel fit myself. It's important to keep yourself ticking over in the gym during that time. But I think what it means is nothing resembles a game really. You can do as much work as you want in the gym and in rehab, but when you actually get out there, it's all the contacts, all the 90 minutes worth of work. So they're all the bits you talk about. But no, for me, I felt good the other night. So yeah, box ticked.
And when you're not out on the grass, obviously you're up here anyway training, but it's gym work as well. And I suppose when the boys are out playing and training out on the grass, it must be quite frustrating if you're sat in the gym.
It is very frustrating, yes. And when the games come and you're involved in match day around the dressing room, it's the worst time, especially this time of season, because it's been an important phase. But like I say, it wasn't relatively a long injury, so back playing now. But no, I did some good work with the physios here, Kian and Tom as well in the gym, and it's been some good work. And I feel confident in the injury now, so hopefully I can have a good finish to the season.
But the plus side, I guess, is you get a free run on the stereo.
Yes, that is true. I don't know how happy the boys have been, mate, but my music selections have been on while I've been working hard, so it's been good.
Fit and firing for the final, or what is now 3 games. Wycombe are outside the playoffs, but it's still possible, and the belief is there. So a fit Sam Vokes, I think, will help hopefully achieve this massive achievement if we can get in that top 6. Yeah,
of course, that's been our goal all season, and that doesn't change. I think three huge games for us now, 2 home games that start with Lincoln on Saturday, and for us all we can do is our business now. Whatever happens in the season's happened, and we've got to go into this period, try and maximise the points, and hopefully that can be enough to get us into those playoffs. But if we've got to see what happens come Saturday.
Great to hear from Sam Vokes, and that he'll be at the club next season. Finally then, let's get the thoughts of manager Matt Bloomfield as we head into the penultimate home game of the season. 4 points outside the playoffs, all to play for, all to fight for, and the manager has been speaking with Phil earlier on today.
Gaffer, back to Adams Park, fresh from a win on a Tuesday night, the best sort of week.
Yeah, most certainly so. We're really pleased with the way we bounced back on Tuesday evening. We're disappointed with the result on Saturday, but really pleased with certain aspects of the performance, so we had to make sure we took those positives and moved forward. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the result Tuesday night, and really pleased with the performance, and looking forward to getting back to Adams Park on Saturday.
It's been a gruelling schedule, and there were a few knocks picked up on Tuesday. How are things looking? Yeah,
there is a few bumps and bruises along the way, so we've got to give the boys another 24 hours. We did a recovery session today. We get back out on the training pitch tomorrow. It's this time of year, you have to be really careful how much you push the boys. Obviously it's been a gruelling season for them, and we need to be prepared. So the boys are in good spirits. We've been working hard, and we're looking forward to making sure we're fully prepared.
A spring in the step because of the result, and spring in the air as well. It must be nice being out there now.
Yeah, this is the time of year when you know that results are important this time of year, because the sun comes out and the bodies are tired, and this is when you know it really matters. So this is the bit we enjoy. This is the bit you want to look forward to, because you want to be involved at the right end of the table at this time of year, and that's what we're doing.
Earlier in the season, it was a 0-0 draw. They're normally pretty tight games, especially at Sincil Bank. But Lincoln are the draw specialists this season. So how are you going to overcome that in this game on Saturday?
I think we look at it tactically. We watch Lincoln as we do with every opposition. We know their strengths. I think they've done a really good job. I think Mark's done a really good job there. So got a young team, vibrant, full of energy, and we know what they're all about. But we have to go on the front foot. We have to attack. We want to win the game, and we believe that we can still sneak in those playoffs, and we have to do that by winning football matches.
You often hear the media and fans talk about teams who are on the beach, the mid-table teams who can't go up, can't go down. But looking at the results, I don't get to see that pattern this season, especially in League One.
Yeah, I agree. I think that with Lincoln's form, that's certainly not the case. I think with football management being such a testing scenario, I don't think any managers can risk taking their foot off the pedal. I don't think any football clubs can do it either. So it's important just for everybody just to keep picking up results, and we know that doesn't change wherever you are in the table, so we've got to be ready.
And teams like that, I mean, it is a little bit disrespectful for people to say, oh yeah, they're on the beach, but football is a continuous all year round thing. There'll be players playing for their contracts, playing for the pride and everything else, right? Yeah,
too right. It's I think maybe in years gone by that has been the case. I think, but football certainly is so present. It's so here and now. You have to be ready for every game, no matter where you are in the league, no matter what your situation and your scenario. So, no, I don't see that happening anywhere in League One. I think it's a really competitive league, as you've seen the results over the recent past. You can't really predict too much at this time of year, and we have to make sure we're on the front foot and ready for the game.
But one other side perhaps is there's no pressure on them. We saw Morecambe, backed into a corner, fighting hard. Cambridge as well, although we won the game, they fought every inch of the way for that game as well. Lincoln, perhaps with that pressure, would that maybe then give them a bit more abandon to go and express themselves? Yeah,
I think we have to concentrate on ourselves as well, no matter what the opposition, who the opposition. We've seen with Morecambe and Cambridge, really competitive games, and I'm expecting exactly the same this Saturday. We have to be mentally prepared, psychologically prepared for ourselves to fight and scrap and run. They're the fundamentals of football matches if you want to win any game. So on top of that, we have to be tactically prepared and physically the boys need to be ready to go again, which they will be. So we have to be as diligent as we possibly can and just savour the moment.
It was great to see Gareth McCleary and Sam Vokes getting their first starts after their injuries, and after the game, Sam Vokes telling everyone the news that he's here for next season. That's great news.
Oh, it's brilliant news. It's giving everyone a lift. I think that Sam's been a really big signing for this football club. The stature of the man. I think he's been the balanced opinion he gives, the leadership he gives, the physicality he brings on the pitch, the guile you can play into him. He's got a goal. He's got that all-round game that we've been really lucky to have over the past 2 years. So to be able to continue his contract with us, to keep him here, we've got to be really pleased.
Things are shaping up already nicely for next season.
Most certainly so. I think we've been really pleased with the business we've done so far. We're renewing the contracts we've done. I think we've got the core of a really good group here, and we're really pleased with that. They've obviously been at the heart of this football club for a number of years now, the majority of that group, and we don't want to lose that. So we're really pleased with what we've done so far, and we hope to keep moving forward.
And a big game against Lincoln, it's game by game, as you keep telling us as well, and it is really, isn't it? Because win this one, and then it's just keeping it going until hopefully the last game of the season. Yeah, we have to do our business this weekend. We have to stay in the fight. We believe we can get in the playoffs. We believe that we can still achieve something this year, and the only way of doing that is to win every game as it turns up. So we have to do that against Lincoln first and foremost. So yeah, listen, we're focused, Phil. We're ready for it. I'm looking forward to it. The boys are looking forward to it, and we just want to start on the front foot and get going on Saturday. Good luck. We'll see you at Adams Park.
Top man. See you, mate.
Great to hear manager Matt Bloomfield chatting to Phil and building up nicely to the visit of Lincoln City on Saturday. As mentioned a little earlier on, hopefully you'll be down at Adams Park to help create what will be a brilliant atmosphere for the penultimate home league game of the regular season. But if you're not going, you'll get full match commentary on Wanderers TV and on 106.6 as well. It really sets things up for a really exciting end to the season And as mentioned with Phil a little earlier on, hopefully when we're next speaking to you, there'll be still plenty to play for heading into then what will be the final 2 games of the regular season. Have a fantastic week and continue to back the Chairboys, and have a great week.